Hey, Lawndale. It's good to see you, I guess, in some ways this morning, or for you to see me. It's good to be seen. Today, what I want to talk about is how do we actually do a family devotional at home or a family worship time? We can talk about that as church leaders and just assume that we all know how to do it. But I want to highlight just what it is and then talk about a few resources we're trying to produce every week that make it easier for you to do. So a family devotional, a family worship time, uh, don't think of it as something that is this big grand um, order of service kind of thing. All we're really trying to encourage you to do is to talk about God's word with your kids and to pray with them. So it can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. For my family, our family Bible time. That's what we call it. It's weird because I am not a singer. I'm not musical in any way. My wife is, but I'm not. My oldest son isn't. So for us, uh, sometimes we'll listen to something, but it's just not the kind of thing where my family sits around together and sings a hymn together. It doesn't work for my family, and that's okay. But what we do try to do when we get together, it's usually in the 7:30 p.m. range. That works well for us because it's after dinner, it's before the bedtime process starts. Let the kids eat dinner, go outside, run around, read, have some downtime, and then we'll just take some time to open up something from God's word together. It can be reading through a chapter of the Bible, a passage from the Bible. It can be using a devotional tool, or we with the younger ones we've used the Jesus Storybook Bible a lot. But it's just finding something where you're opening up God's word and looking at a verse, a couple of verses, or a chapter together. Then we'll ask some questions like, what did you understand? What stood out to you? What did you learn from that? Just some really simple ways where they can answer, even if it's just a couple words or a sentence or two, just to engage with the passage as a family. And then we'll take some time to pray. We let a different person pray every night, or we'll say, is there something that you want us to be praying about? And we'll just take a few minutes to do it. So generally, it's not this big, long, complicated thing. It's 5 or 10 minutes where we just read together and then pray together. Some other tools though to do that, especially my kids are on the younger side. I've got a sixth grader, a fourth grader, and a first grader. But in student ministry specifically, we have two tools that we're putting out every week that you can use, things that we're doing with our online church stuff and turn it into a family Bible time. Number one is Dr. Joe's sermons are out every week. So if you watch that, if you go to lawndalebaptist.org/online, you can get his sermon notes right there to follow along. And there's also something there, a family discussion guide. I wrote that, so it's really coming originally as a design for parents to be able to talk about the sermon with your family. It's the same questions every week, so it's not the kind of thing that's designed for you to go through number one, number two, number three. You can, but really it's just looking at some discussion topics to see, just to generate conversation. And if your family, if the conversation is 5 minutes or 20 minutes, either one's a win. Of course, that same discussion guide, I wrote it. It would work just as well for one of my Bible lessons from Fusion. It would work in different contexts other than just Dr. Joe's Sunday morning sermon. But so there's a couple different ways that you can use that discussion guide. Then the other thing that we're doing every week, every Saturday night, we're posting this week's Life Journey Group lesson by a different one of our student Life Journey Group teachers. So every Saturday night that pops up. We try to make it under 15 minutes so that it's an easy thing to watch. You can see my dog. He's my coworker right now. He's hangs out with Dad every day right there over my shoulder. But so the joys of working at home, right? But every week we put out this Life Journey Group lesson that just recaps that week's what would have been the full expanded lesson if we were meeting in person. And then every Thursday before that, we send out a family discussion guide. So how do you take this week's Life Journey Group passage, this week's Bible study topic, and turn it into a family conversation? Some questions to ask, some ways to apply it. So you have about a 15-minute video and then a one-page handout that's a discussion guide. The handout comes out on Thursdays. The video gets posted on Saturdays. So you can take these two things and have them two separate conversations. You can watch the video on Saturday and talk about it the next day, or on Monday. You can watch the video on Tuesday, talk about it on Wednesday. We just want you to have resources in your hands because Remember, not just during this quarantine time, but every single day, every single month, you as parents, you as grandparents are the primary spiritual leaders of your students. So hopefully one of the ways that God is working together for good in this strange season of life is to motivate and equip us as parents to do the hard work, to take the time to invest in our own kids' spiritual walks. It's so important. There's no substitute. But we're here for you. We want to help you do it. So if you have questions, if you want to talk through some things, if you want to just figure out how to do this not by yourself, but you want more input, please reach out. Love to hear from you. Would love to help you find out ways that will naturally incorporate God's word and a focus on the fact that Jesus died in our place. God raised him from the dead, and that changes everything. We've got to take that. We've got to make it part of our everyday and real lives. I'm praying for you, and thanks for the privilege of getting to come alongside you and your family. Have a great day.